Well, it's that time of year again. So I'm going to do a list of the worst movies I've seen in 2024. This is my honest opinion. But before I get into my top 11, as Doug Walker says why, because I like to go one step beyond, here are some honourable mentions. Some of them may shock you. Imaginary, Heart and Purple Crayon, Players, Ricky Stanky, and that one funny, Back to Black, Mother's Instant, Bob Marley at One Love, Elenza Oz, Musica, Poor Things came out in 2023 but came out in 2024 this year where I'm from, Argyle, and of course Me Meet Next Christmas. Now onto my top 11. Okay, number 11 in my list is Damsel. Now, bear in mind, there's going to be a lot of Netflix originals on this list because we're dog shit. So this one is kind of like that movie that came out, was it last year with Joey King, called The Princess, and that's exactly what this is. It's god awful. I mean, not even Molly Bobby Brown could have saved this movie. It was so forgettable. I can't even remember what the movie was even about, but yeah, it was just god awful. Number 10, now on top 10, Mother the Bride. This is yet another Netflix original, like the one number 11. This one, where do I begin with this one? This one is just, it tops it off as the worst romantic comedy I've ever seen in my entire life. Why? Because the plot is just weird. I mean, don't get me wrong, okay? I adore Brooke Shields, think she's a good actress. I like Benjamin Bratt. I also like Miranda Cosgrove. But this film was just so bad. Here's me going, what in the name of sweet divine God am I watching? And if you know the twist in this movie, you know the twist in this movie, and it was just terrible. And the way it ended, I was like, I'm sorry, what now? It was just god awful, and yeah, that's Mother the Bride. Number 9, another Netflix original movie, A Family Affair. This movie was so distracting because of Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman, because their faces were so plastic. I was like, what is going on with the Botox between Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron? Were they comparing one another as to who has the best face or something? Because, God, it was just so bad. I mean, I enjoy King, I've said this movie, and she's irritating as fuck. I cannot stand Joy King at all, I'm sorry. She's just a terrible actress. I'm sorry. If Joy King's watching this, Joy, I'm sorry. I know you come across as a nice person, but your movies just stink for me. So yeah, the movie is kind of like a rip-off of The Idea of You, only The Idea of You is actually better than this garbage. So Nicole Kidman plays a single mother, and she has a daughter played by Joy King, and Nicole Kidman kind of has an affair with this famous Hollywood star played by Zac Efron. And yeah, it was just terrible. I mean, they worked together before in the past called The Paperboy, but they looked better looking there than they do now. So yeah, it's just god awful. Next up on my list, Civil War. Okay, I couldn't watch this movie at all. I could only watch half an hour of it and I turned it off because it was that bad. I mean, not even Kirsten Dunst could have saved this movie, and I love Kirsten Dunst since I was a child. But it was just god awful. Even my brother and his friends saw this movie in the cinema and they told me out straight it was the worst film they ever saw in their entire life. Especially the end, which made zero fucking sense. So yeah, I couldn't even watch it from beginning to end, it was that bad. Okay, next up, Borderlands. So this film was very hard to find in my local cinema. It wasn't shown in any cinema near me at all. Only in Galway, I remember. And of course I finally saw it in digital, and by God, it was the worst video game adaptation movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, I love half these actors, okay? I love Cate Blanchett, I like Kevin Hart, I adore Jack Black, Irina Greenblatt, she wasn't bad, she was in Barbie. Who else in this movie? Florian Montagu and Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, I adore Jamie Lee Curtis. But yeah, it was just terrible. I mean, the CGI was all over the place, the story was just boring, and it kind of reminds me of Fortnite. It was kind of like a rip-off of Fortnite, if you ask me that much. It was just god awful, and yeah, just skip it. It's terrible. Okay, this was not her year at all. If Jennifer Lopez sees this video, I apologise, JLo. So this, of course, was part of Jennifer Lopez's career back in 2024, because she'd done 2 documentaries about the love of her life, which is she's now divorced with the guy, by the way, Ben Affleck. And they were god awful too. But in this one, she was like, do you know what? I'm going to do sci-fi instead of doing romantic comedies. And let me tell you, this is not her genre at all, because she should stick to romantic comedies, because that's what she's actually good at, is romantic comedies. But here, she's just god awful. I mean, She was so miscast in this film. If it was, I don't know, Scarlett Johansson or Gal Gadot, it would have been better. But Jennifer Lopez in a sci-fi movie, it just didn't work out for me at all. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong, I do like Jennifer Lopez since I was a kid. I think she's a good singer. And there's certain films that she's very good in as well. Like, I love Maid of Manhattan, I loved The Wedding Planner, and I liked Shall We Dance. But here, it was just god awful, and yeah, it's also a Netflix original, so yeah, skip it. Another Netflix original, which is like a erotic thriller, is called Mea Culpa, and it had Kelly Rowland in it, and let me tell you, it was just so bad. I mean, I can't even remember what the film was even about. All I remember is about this woman who had an affair with a man while she was still married, and the guy was kind of very deceitful towards her and all this shit, and she tries to end the relationship and she can't, and yeah, it was just awful. 2 hours of my life I would never get back, so yeah. Okay, hear me out in this one, okay? I know a lot of you are saying, oh my god, this isn't the worst movie of all time, this is the best romantic comedy I've seen since My Best Friend's Wedding. In actual fact, it's not. I mean, the two main leads had zero chemistry. It was like watching paint dry. I mean, Sydney Sweeney, all she does is going, yeah, sure, and she's just not a likeable person, you know. She is not a likeable person. Glenn Powell, he's a handsome looking man, you know. He should have got Sexiest Man Alive in 2024, but they were just boring, you know. It's such a boring movie, and the reason why it's so popular is because that song Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield, which is also used in Ice Princess. Yeah, it was just terrible from start to finish. And it even had, speaking of My Best Friend's Wedding, it also had the actress from My Best Friend's Wedding, Rachel Griffins, and your man, that good looking guy, Dermot Mulroney, he's in that film too. So the whole movie is about these two people who despise one another. They pretend to be a couple because her friend is getting married to a girl, LGBT, of course. And they have to kind of try and make amends, but of course romance blossoms between them, and that's pretty much it. It's just a terrible film. I do not like it at all. I'm sorry. Okay, next up on my list, Irish Wish. Okay, I adore Lindsay Lohan, okay? I really love this girl. I think she's a good actress. She was very good at Parent Trap, which is pretty much her best film she's ever done in her life, by the way. But here, I mean, was she doing a leap year ripoff or something? Because this film was just so bad. I mean, none of these guys are even Irish. This guy here, right, is supposed to be Irish. His Irish accent is worse, and I mean worse than Matthew Gold's in Leap Year. And Leap Year was actually better than this. So basically, she's in love with this guy here, and of course she wishes to be with him, and of course she makes a wish, and it backfires, and of course she's the one that gets engaged to this guy, but she falls in love with this guy, and yeah, it was predictable, but it was terrible. Another Lindsay Lohan adaptation movie that got turned into a musical, Mean Girls. I saw this film, right, in the cinema, and let me tell you, it was the worst movie I sat through in the cinema. Because I loved the original one, right, Mean Girls, the one with Lindsay Lohan and Amanda Seyfried and Lacey Chabert. I loved that movie since I was a teenager. But this one, they would really need a musical version of this movie, because it's just, it was bad. It was so bad. There were songs that came out of nowhere, and yeah, it was just god awful. And also the girl that plays, what's her face, Regina George, she's not a patch on Rachel McAdams. Not a patch at all. And yeah, it was just god awful. It's also got a girl from Moana too, so yeah. And my number one worst movie of all time of 2024, Madam Web. Yeah. Where do I begin with this movie? So this movie, of course, came out in Valentine's Day of all days, and it's about this girl who gets superhuman powers, and she's supposed to wear like this outfit, but guess what? She doesn't even wear an outfit at all until like 5 seconds, and that's it. And it's also got Sydney Sweeney as well, who is god awful. Yeah, I know what it is about Dakota Johnson. I think she's a terrible actress. I mean, 50 Shades of Grey was shite. A lot of the other two movies were shite. And Beastly was okay too. But yeah, this film was just a god awful film, and supposed to be a spin-off of Spider-Man. Yeah, it was so bad. I mean, it's on for an hour and 56 minutes, and it literally go on for about 2 hours. It felt like a 2-hour movie. So yeah, they're the worst films. Which one's is your worst? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.